Every alien civilization had the same rule: never enter the void. Humanity broke that rule on day one. What they found inside wasn't just the greatest secret in the universe, it was the beginning of the final war for existence itself. Space was silent. Not the peaceful silence of empty stars, but the terrifying silence of extinction. For thousands of years, the Galactic Union had explored the universe, discovering hundreds of intelligent species. Some were warriors. Some were scientists. Others were traders and diplomats. Yet all of them shared one fear. The void. A region of space larger than entire galaxies where stars simply disappeared. Ships entered the void. None returned. Planets near its borders vanished without warning. Entire civilizations were erased from history. No distress calls. No survivors. Only silence. For 10,000 years, every species avoided the void and prayed it would never expand. Then one day, it did. The first world to fall was the mining colony of Kareth Prime. Millions disappeared in a single night. Sensors recorded something impossible. The darkness itself was moving. Panic spread across the Galactic Union. Emergency councils were called. Fleets were mobilized. Scientists worked around the clock. Nothing helped. Every probe sent into the void vanished. Every fleet that approached was destroyed. One by one, border systems were consumed. The Union had never faced an enemy it couldn't see. And then they remembered humanity. Humans were still considered newcomers. Compared to ancient alien civilizations, Earth had joined the galactic community only 2 centuries earlier. Many species viewed humans as reckless. Dangerous. Far too curious for their own good. When other races saw a warning sign, humans saw an invitation. When others found a mystery, humans poked it with a stick. Repeatedly. The Union had often criticized humanity's obsession with exploring dangerous places. Now that obsession was their only hope. A delegation was sent to Earth. The ambassadors expected fear. They expected hesitation. Instead, they found humanity excited. Inside the United Earth Assembly, alien representatives explained the threat. Images of destroyed systems filled giant screens. The room fell silent. Finally, the Union's leader spoke. "We ask for your assistance. But understand this. Every civilization that challenged the void has perished." The human representative leaned forward. "Has anyone actually gone inside?" The alien blinked. "Yes. They never returned." "How many missions?" "Over 12,000. The human smiled. "That's not enough data." The room exploded with protests. Several ambassadors nearly fainted. One ancient species whispered the same phrase every race eventually learned. "Humans are insane." Within weeks, humanity launched Project Horizon. The largest exploration mission in human history. Hundreds of ships gathered near the edge of the void. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, and volunteers filled their crews. Every alien observer expected humanity's destruction. Instead, humans treated it like an adventure. Some ships painted jokes on their hulls. Others held competitions to guess what was inside. One captain reportedly bet his entire salary that the void contained giant space squids. The aliens were horrified. The humans were having fun. The fleet crossed the boundary. Instantly, communication vanished. Sensors stopped functioning. Navigation systems failed. Darkness surrounded them. For the first time, humanity experienced true fear. Yet they continued forward. Hours passed. Then days. Then weeks. Finally, they saw something. A structure. A massive object floating in darkness. Larger than planets. Older than stars. And waiting. Back on Earth, everyone watched anxiously. No messages had arrived for months. Many feared the mission was lost. Then suddenly, a signal appeared. The first transmission from inside the void. Every screen in the galaxy activated. Billions watched. The image flickered. A human captain appeared. His face was pale. His eyes filled with disbelief. Behind him stood an object so enormous it seemed impossible. The captain looked directly into the camera. Then he spoke words that would change the history of the universe forever. We found it. The transmission cut out. And something in the darkness woke up. The transmission spread across the galaxy like wildfire. We found it. For simple words. For words that shattered 10,000 years of fear. Every government, every military command, every scientific institute replayed the message endlessly. But there was a problem. The signal had lasted only 8 seconds. No additional information followed. No explanation. No warning. Nothing. Just silence. The same silence that had swallowed entire civilizations. For 3 days, the galaxy waited. For 3 days, humanity refused to panic. The aliens found this deeply unsettling. On Earth, Project Horizon's command center remained active 24 hours a day. Scientists monitored every frequency. Engineers checked every relay station. Military analysts studied the footage frame by frame. Finally, on the 4th day, another signal arrived. This one lasted longer. Much longer. The face of Captain Marcus Hale appeared once again. Exhaustion covered his features. His uniform was damaged. Dark circles hung beneath his eyes. He looked like a man who hadn't slept in weeks. Behind him, alarms flashed continuously. Yet despite everything, he was smiling. That alone terrified the alien observers. Humans only smiled like that when they discovered something dangerous. To anyone receiving this message, Marcus began. If this transmission reaches Earth, tell my daughter I won our bet. Several officers behind him groaned. One woman shouted from off-screen. You only won because space squids don't count as giant machines. The captain ignored her. We have made first contact. Every government in the galaxy froze. First contact. With what? The captain continued. The void isn't a natural phenomenon. Gasps erupted across countless worlds. Scientists stared at their screens. Some dropped tablets. Others simply stopped breathing. For 10,000 years, civilizations had believed the void was a cosmic disaster. A force of nature. Something beyond understanding. They had been wrong. Terribly wrong. The image shifted. For the first time, the galaxy saw what humanity had discovered. The object from the original transmission filled the screen. It was impossible to comprehend. A structure larger than entire solar systems. Dark metallic surfaces stretched beyond visual range. Countless towers protruded into the darkness. Energy storms crackled across its exterior. Massive circular openings dotted its surface. Each one large enough to swallow planets. The aliens watching could barely process what they were seeing. Nothing that size should exist. Nothing could survive that long. And yet there it was. Waiting in the darkness. Ancient. Silent. Watching. We believe this structure predates every known civilization, Marcus said. Possibly by millions of years. The room behind him became quiet. Even the joking humans appeared uneasy. The bad news is that we weren't the first visitors. The captain pressed several controls. New images appeared. The galaxy watched in horror. Ships. Thousands upon thousands of ships. Wrecks from hundreds of species. Some ancient. Some recent. All scattered around the structure like broken toys. The lost fleets of history. The missing explorers. The vanished civilizations. They had all ended here. A member of the Galactic Council collapsed in shock. Entire religions across the galaxy faced crises. The greatest mystery in existence had finally been solved. Every lost expedition. Every disappearance. Every unanswered question. The void had taken them all. Not randomly. Deliberately. Then the captain revealed something even worse. We found survivors. Silence. Absolute silence. The entire galaxy seemed to stop moving. Survivors? How? The captain switched camera feeds again. The image showed enormous chambers within the structure. Cities filled the interior. Millions of beings walked beneath artificial skies. Members of species believed extinct for thousands of years. Others that had vanished only decades ago. Entire civilizations trapped inside. Alive. Waiting. Hoping. One elderly alien watching from a distant world burst into tears. Her species had lost their homeworld 8,000 years earlier. Now she was staring at descendants of people she believed gone forever. Across the galaxy, families discovered lost relatives. Legends became reality. History rewrote itself in real time. Humanity had accomplished in months what nobody else had achieved in 10 millennia. But the celebration didn't last. Marcus's expression grew serious. Very serious. The kind of expression that usually meant humans had found something worse than expected. We also found the reason they're here. Behind him, warning sirens began howling. The captain looked over his shoulder. Whatever he saw made his smile disappear. For the first time during the entire transmission, Marcus Hale looked afraid. Not nervous. Not worried. Afraid. The galaxy suddenly became afraid too. Because humans were famous for confronting danger. If a human explorer looked terrified, something truly horrible was approaching. The structure isn't a prison. He paused. It's a shelter. Confused murmurs spread throughout countless worlds. A shelter? From what? Marcus swallowed hard. Then he answered. From them. The screen changed once more. A recording appeared. Darkness filled the image. At first, viewers saw nothing. Then movement. Something emerged from the shadows. Millions screamed. The thing wasn't a ship. It wasn't an animal. It wasn't even fully physical. A gigantic shape drifted through space. Its body seemed made from darkness itself. Stars vanished wherever it passed. Reality bent around it. Light twisted unnaturally. Even recorded footage struggled to display its form. The creature was larger than moons. Perhaps larger than planets. And it wasn't alone. Thousands followed behind it. An endless swarm moving through the void between galaxies. Ancient records from dozens of civilizations suddenly made sense. Forgotten myths. Religious warnings. Stories of cosmic devourers. Creatures that consumed stars. Legends everyone believed were fictional. They weren't. They were memories. We've translated part of the station's archives, Marcus explained. The builders discovered these entities millions of years ago. The captain's hands trembled slightly. They aren't machines. They aren't biological. They don't conquer worlds. His voice became quiet. They eat realities. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. The phrase itself sounded impossible. Eat realities? What did that even mean? Yet everyone could see the evidence. Entire regions of space erased. Stars gone. Civilizations vanished. The creatures weren't destroying worlds. They were consuming existence itself. The station's creators gathered surviving species here and built a defensive network. Marcus continued. It worked. Hope returned. A little. Just enough. Then the captain crushed it. For a while. The camera shook violently. A distant explosion echoed through the transmission. Emergency lights flooded the room. Several crew members rushed past carrying equipment. Others were arming themselves. The aliens watching exchanged confused looks. Why would explorers need weapons? Marcus answered before anyone could ask. They found us. The entire galaxy froze. The creatures had found them. Found humanity. Found the station. Found everyone. Another explosion thundered through the structure. Dust fell from the ceiling. For the first time, static distorted the transmission. Something massive struck the station. Even through the screen, viewers could feel the impact. The structure larger than solar systems had just been hit. And it had moved. A terrified officer rushed into view. Captain. Outer defense grid has failed. Marcus nodded grimly. How many? The officer hesitated. Then answered. All of them. Fear spread like wildfire. Millions of defensive weapons. Millions of years of preparation. Destroyed. Gone. The captain looked directly into the camera. If you're seeing this, the enemy is coming. He took a deep breath. Tell Earth we have a chance. That surprised everyone. A chance? Against creatures capable of consuming reality? How? Marcus smiled again. This time it wasn't the smile of an explorer. Or a scientist. Or even a soldier. It was the smile humanity always wore before doing something completely insane. The builders spent millions of years hiding. His eyes narrowed. We spent thousands learning how to fight impossible wars. Several crew members began grinning. Others loaded weapons. One woman cracked her knuckles. Another started laughing. Actually laughing. Marcus pointed toward the approaching darkness visible through a distant window. Those things have never met humans before. The crew erupted into cheers. The captain faced the camera one final time. Let's introduce ourselves. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, billions stared at blank screens. The enemy was coming. Ancient horrors beyond comprehension. Destroyers of civilizations. Eaters of reality. And humanity's first response was the same response it had given every impossible challenge throughout history. The moment Captain Marcus Hale ended the transmission, the battle began. Across the colossal shelter station, warning sirens echoed through corridors that had remained silent for millions of years. The ancient defenses were failing. One by one, sectors went dark. The Eaters had arrived. Outside the station, reality itself seemed to tear apart. The creatures drifted through space like living nightmares. Stars vanished around them. Gravity twisted. Time fluctuated. Even physics struggled to exist in their presence. For millions of years, civilizations had hidden from these monsters. Humanity became the first species to charge directly toward them. All combat groups report in. Marcus stood on the command deck. Dozens of holographic displays surrounded him. Reports flooded in from every human vessel. The responses were exactly what one would expect from humanity. Valkyrie squadron ready. Resolute standing by. Thunder group armed and eager. One pilot added. Permission to do something incredibly stupid, Captain. Marcus sighed. Denied. A brief pause followed. The pilot replied. So, permission pending. The bridge crew laughed. Even facing cosmic horrors, humans remained human. The station's ancient inhabitants watched in disbelief. Many of their civilizations had spent generations trapped inside the shelter. Their ancestors had taught only one lesson. Hide. Survive. Avoid detection. Never fight. Yet the newcomers from Earth seemed determined to do the exact opposite. An elderly alien approached Marcus. "Human commander, do you understand what those creatures are?" Marcus nodded. "Not really." The alien blinked. "Then why are you attacking them?" The captain smiled. "Because they're attacking us." To a human, that was explanation enough. The first engagement occurred near the station's outer defense ring. Hundreds of human warships accelerated toward an approaching swarm. The Eaters barely reacted. Why would they? Every civilization they had encountered had fled. None had ever resisted. Humanity was about to introduce them to a completely new concept. Resistance. Admiral Sarah Winters commanded the lead fleet. She stared at the enormous creatures on her display. Each one dwarfed entire cities. Each one possessed enough power to erase worlds. Her crew waited for orders. Sarah spoke calmly. "Target the largest one." An officer looked shocked. "The largest?" "Yes." "Why?" Sarah shrugged. "If this goes badly, I want history to remember we aimed high." The fleet opened fire. Thousands of missiles surged forward. Energy weapons illuminated the darkness. Railgun rounds traveled at impossible speeds. For the first time in countless ages, the Eaters encountered organized military force. The result surprised everyone. Including the Eaters. One of the creatures screamed. The sound wasn't audible. It existed directly inside the minds of every observer. Entire sensor arrays overloaded. Computers crashed. Several alien crews panicked. But the humans cheered. The creature was hurt. Not destroyed. Not defeated. But hurt. That alone changed everything. The monsters could bleed. News spread through the shelter station. The impossible enemy could be damaged. Hope returned. For the first time in millions of years, hope returned. Entire species began volunteering to assist humanity. Scientists shared ancient records. Engineers provided forgotten technologies. Historians uncovered lost knowledge. A coalition began to form. Not because humanity asked. Because humanity proved the enemy wasn't invincible. Meanwhile, deeper inside the station, researchers studied the ancient archives. Dr. Elena Vasquez led the effort. Millions of years of information surrounded her. Most records were damaged. Many languages were extinct. Yet one message appeared repeatedly. A warning left by the station's creators. Elena translated it slowly. Then she felt her blood run cold. Immediately she contacted Marcus. The captain answered moments later. "Tell me you found good news." Elena shook her head. "I found the truth." Marcus frowned. "That's usually worse." She nodded. "Much worse." The archives revealed why the Eaters consumed reality. They weren't predators. They weren't conquerors. They weren't evil. They were prisoners. Marcus stared silently. Prisoners of what? Elena hesitated. Then answered. Something bigger. For several seconds nobody spoke. The statement sounded absurd. The Eaters already seemed unstoppable. How could something even worse exist? The ancient records provided the answer. Long before the first stars formed, the universe had fought a war. A war between beings so powerful they could reshape existence itself. The Eaters were remnants. Fragments. Weapons left behind. And now those weapons were awakening. Marcus felt a chill. Human history taught an important lesson. Whenever someone discovered an ancient superweapon, things usually became very bad very quickly. This situation appeared no different. Before he could respond, alarms erupted once again. A priority transmission arrived from Admiral Winters. Her face appeared on the screen. She looked concerned. Very concerned. That worried Marcus. Admiral Winters rarely looked concerned. "We have a problem." Marcus sighed. "How big?" The Admiral zoomed out her tactical display. The captain immediately regretted asking. A massive shape emerged from the darkness beyond the swarm. Not planet-sized. Not star-sized. Much larger. The object stretched across millions of kilometers. Its arrival caused entire regions of space to distort. Several stars simply disappeared. Consumed instantly. "What is that?" Marcus whispered. "No idea," Sarah replied. "But every eater in the region is moving toward it." For the first time, the swarm appeared organized. Purposeful. Obedient. Like soldiers gathering around their commander. Then the giant opened its eyes. Thousands of eyes. Across its impossible body. Every sensor in range failed. Several ships lost power entirely. Even the shelter station trembled. The ancient enemy had revealed its leader. And it was coming directly toward them. Inside the station, panic spread rapidly. Some civilizations prepared evacuation plans. Others discussed surrender. Many believed the war was already lost. Humanity responded differently. They held a meeting. A very short meeting. "What are our options?" Marcus asked. A scientist replied. "Run." Another answered. "Hide." A third suggested. "Pray." Marcus nodded thoughtfully. Then looked around the room. "Any useful ideas?" The humans immediately began proposing increasingly dangerous strategies. The meeting somehow became worse. Finally Elena interrupted. "The archives mention a weapon." Everyone became quiet. Now she had their attention. A weapon built by the station's creators. Marcus leaned forward. "What kind of weapon?" Elena displayed a schematic. The room fell silent. The design was enormous. Powerful beyond imagination. Capable of affecting reality itself. The builders never completed it, Elena explained. They ran out of time. Marcus studied the schematic. Then smiled. That smile again. The one aliens had learned to fear. The smile humans wore whenever they discovered an impossible challenge. "How long would it take us to finish it?" The room became quiet. Engineers exchanged nervous glances. One finally answered. "Years." Marcus looked disappointed. "We have days." The engineer thought carefully. Then grinned. "If humans are involved, maybe less." Throughout the shelter station, construction began immediately. Humans worked alongside dozens of alien species. Former enemies became allies. Ancient rivalries disappeared. Everyone understood the stakes. If humanity failed, there would be no second chance. No backup plan. No escape. Only oblivion. As fleets battled outside, millions worked inside. Building. Repairing. Preparing. The greatest weapon in the history of existence. And beyond the station, the colossal leader of the Eaters continued its approach. With every passing hour, it came closer. Closer to the station. Closer to Earth. Closer to everything. And deep within the darkness behind it, something even larger began to move. The darkness moved. Far beyond the swarm of eaters. Far beyond their colossal leader. Something ancient was awakening. Something so vast that even the eaters seemed insignificant beside it. For millions of years, it had slept beyond the edge of reality. Now it was coming. And the entire universe could feel it. Inside the shelter station, construction continued without pause. Humans and aliens worked side by side. Engineers ignored exhaustion. Scientists ignored fear. Soldiers ignored the odds. Nobody needed to be told what would happen if they failed. The stars themselves were disappearing. Entire sectors of space were being erased. Time was running out. Captain Marcus Hale stood in the station's central command chamber. A massive hologram displayed the battlefield. The situation was grim. The Eater swarm had breached multiple defense lines. Hundreds of ships had already been lost. Thousands more were damaged. And at the center of it all, the colossal leader continued advancing. Nothing seemed capable of stopping it. Admiral Sarah Winters appeared on the display. Her fleet was engaged in constant combat. Explosions illuminated the darkness behind her. Construction progress. Marcus glanced toward the engineering teams. 73%. Sarah frowned. That's not fast enough. I know. Neither of them needed to say more. The enemy was arriving faster than expected. Suddenly, alarms erupted throughout the command center. Every screen flashed red. The massive object beyond the swarm had become visible. Silence filled the room. Nobody could find words. The thing was larger than solar systems. Larger than nebulae. Larger than anything intelligent minds were meant to comprehend. It wasn't merely entering the galaxy. It was entering reality itself. Space bent around it. Stars vanished in its wake. Even light struggled to exist near its presence. The ancient archives identified it immediately. The first hunger. The original entity from which the Eaters had been created. The weapon that had survived a war older than the universe. For millions of years, entire civilizations had hidden from its return. Now it had arrived. Across the shelter station, panic erupted. Many believed all hope was lost. Even some human crews stared at the incoming horror in stunned silence. The first hunger wasn't just powerful. It was inevitable. Like a force of nature. Like the end of existence given form. Then something unexpected happened. A transmission appeared across every channel. Every ship. Every station. Every world. The image showed Marcus Hale. The captain looked exhausted. His uniform was damaged. His face carried the weight of everything that had happened. Yet his eyes remained calm. Determined. Human. My name is Captain Marcus Hale. The transmission echoed throughout the galaxy. If you're hearing this, then the universe is facing its final test. He looked directly into the camera. For millions of years, civilizations survived by hiding. Images of ancient refugees appeared. Lost species. Forgotten worlds. Generations trapped inside the shelter station. They endured impossible hardships. Marcus continued. They survived horrors beyond imagination. The images changed. Human explorers. Human engineers. Human soldiers. Human families. Humanity itself. But survival isn't enough. The captain's voice grew stronger. We were never meant to spend eternity hiding from the dark. Across the galaxy, billions watched. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Every species here has suffered. Marcus said. Every civilization has lost something. He paused. Today we stop losing. The transmission ended. For a moment, silence followed. Then cheers erupted across countless worlds. The fear remained. But something stronger had appeared. Resolve. Meanwhile, deep inside the station, Dr. Elena Vasquez received the final construction report. She stared at it for several seconds. Then smiled. The weapon was complete. The station itself began transforming. Ancient mechanisms dormant for millions of years awakened. Entire sections shifted. Massive energy conduits activated. Gigantic structures unfolded across the surface. The shelter station had never been a shelter. Not really. It had always been a weapon. The creators simply never finished it. Humanity had. The first hunger noticed immediately. For the first time, the cosmic entity reacted. Its advance slowed. Thousands of eyes focused on the station. Ancient intelligence studied humanity. And for the first time in its existence, it hesitated. Marcus stood beside Elena. What exactly does this thing do? Elena laughed nervously. Honestly? Yes. We think it punches reality. Marcus blinked. That's the scientific explanation. It is today. Across the command center, human officers nodded approvingly. That sounded like perfectly reasonable science. The weapon activated. Energy surged through the station. Stars across nearby systems dimmed. Space trembled. Reality itself seemed to vibrate. The power output exceeded every measurement system available. Several instruments simply displayed the word impossible. The first hunger accelerated. It understood the threat. Millions of eaters rushed forward. The final battle had begun. Human fleets charged directly into the swarm. Alien ships followed. Ancient enemies fought side by side. Civilizations that had once feared one another now stood united. Not because they shared history, but because they shared a future worth protecting. The fighting was unlike anything the universe had ever witnessed. Stars exploded. Space fractured. Entire fleets vanished. Yet the defenders continued advancing. Every minute mattered. Every second counted. The weapon needed time. Finally, Elena shouted the words everyone was waiting to hear. Weapon charged. The command center erupted. Marcus immediately gave the order. Fire. For one brief moment, nothing happened. Then reality broke. A beam of pure existence erupted from the station. Not energy. Not matter. Possibility itself. Everything humanity represented. Every dream. Every risk. Every act of courage. Every refusal to surrender. Focused into a single strike. The beam crossed the battlefield instantly. The first hunger attempted to resist. For the first time in billions of years. It failed. Cracks appeared across its impossible form. Entire sections dissolved. The surrounding eaters began collapsing. Reality reclaimed what had been stolen. Stars reappeared. Destroyed regions of space returned. The darkness started retreating. The first hunger released a final scream. A sound heard across the entire universe. Then it shattered. Not defeated. Not wounded. Destroyed. Completely. Forever. Silence followed. The battlefield became still. No monsters remained. No darkness advanced. No cosmic horrors waited beyond the stars. The war was over. For several moments nobody reacted. Then celebrations erupted everywhere. Ships sounded horns. Crowds filled city streets. Entire worlds rejoiced. Civilizations separated by millions of years celebrated together. The impossible had happened. The universe had survived. Months later, representatives from hundreds of species gathered at the shelter station. The ancient refuge had become the capital of a new alliance. A symbol of unity. A symbol of hope. And above all else, a symbol of humanity. During the ceremony, an elderly alien approached Marcus Hale. The same alien who had once questioned humanity's decision to fight. The old being smiled. "I finally understand your species." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Oh." The alien nodded. "For millions of years, we searched for a way to survive. And humans?" Marcus smiled. The familiar smile that had terrified half the galaxy. The smile of explorers. Dreamers. Builders. And fighters. We searched for a way to win. And from that day forward, every civilization remembered a simple truth. When the darkness came. When the stars trembled. When all hope seemed lost. Humanity answered the void. And the void never answered back.